Hey, how's it going there? It's Ryan on Gaming. Time for a new topic. This one comes from Jonathan Daly. He says, "Yo, Ryan, I have a topic that I think you could use. Explain why these companies can't just include all the firmware updates like PSN name change and the capability to use USBs on the consoles from the launch of the console. Hope I helped keep this series alive. P.S. Keep giving us amazing content." Thank you so much, Jonathan, for actually saying that. I truly appreciate that. And thank you for actually watching and submitting your topic. Now, that's a good topic because, you know, valid question. Why don't these things happen right off the bat? Why aren't these features included right off the bat? This takes me back immediately to PlayStation 4's launch. Around, like, you know, pre-release of PlayStation 4, this was when it was discovered that there was going to be a day one PSN patch for PlayStation 4, and people were wondering, why is that a thing? Is Sony taking out used game DRM and all that, or why does a day one patch need to happen, and blah, 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 blah. And the number one, the explanation to that I told you guys was that the hardware to the PlayStation 4 was basically finished, right? They manufactured the box, it was done, they can start actually the process of manufacturing the system, start packaging it, start shipping it to stores. But something like software, which is the user interface of the PlayStation 4, the dynamic menu, they can keep working on that, you know, while the box is actually being manufactured, so they can start shipping the consoles to your house and keep working on features software side that they can release to you via the internet. That's the most simplest way to put it. So there's your answer right there. You know, you get the hardware now, but you can consistently get features over time. And this is something that Microsoft did, Sony did with PlayStation 3. I mean, for as long as firmware updates have been around in the console space, but this exists in many products, you know, long before games. It's just like the hardware has shipped, but over the internet, over the air, you can deliver more updates and features to people. And this is something that, you know, a long time ago we didn't necessarily have. You know, when you ship a game, for example, you couldn't patch it, you couldn't fix a certain bug in it, you couldn't fix some sort of game-breaking exploit inside of it or what have you. So often at times, whenever those things did get fixed, it was usually during a reprint of the disc, like when the game got greatest hits on PlayStation, so they would reprint the disc, remanufacture it, and that disc would have fixes to it or what have you. But nowadays we are in a world where we can fix those things. So, and that comes with a lot of bad things too, and that'll probably be a separate topic, which is when, you know, games come out and they're actually broken, Destiny comes out and it's not working or something like that, or the next Call of Duty or what have you, or, you know, Assassin's Creed comes out and it's all weird and broken, and there's all these bugs, the games aren't bug tested properly, and then they you know, developers will say to themselves, like, oh, we can just patch it later. That's one of the bad things about it. But for the most part, this is why features like this aren't included right off the bat. I mean, really, it's not answering your question completely. You're wondering, though, why aren't these features in there already? You know, why wait to put them in? And I think it's because if you waited that long, you'd be waiting forever, right? We've had PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 for how many years now, both working with PlayStation Network, and we still don't have PSN name changes. Now, of course, that's an entirely separate sort of subject as to why we don't have PSN name changes. But if Sony were to wait to give you that, then you'd never actually be playing your PlayStation 4 yet. They would have to ship the hardware at some point to start selling you it, to start, you know, selling games for it and everything. At some point, the hardware has to get sold, and then that's when they'll start working on features and everything. Now, if you were around during the PS3 time, PlayStation 3 launch, you get a PS3 day one, it was pretty damn useless. It was very bare bones. There wasn't a whole lot you could do with it. Years down the line, over many firmware updates, the system became awesome. It got in-game XMB, downloading in the background, all these extra features that we now take for granted and think that should be standard. And that's what's funny about when PlayStation 4 came out, is PlayStation 4 came out and it was once again a bare-bones system, much like PlayStation 3, and it was lacking many major features we expect to have in these things. And, you know, it's a valid criticism to say, you know, why firmware patch all these things in, why add all these features in at a later date? These things should be standard. So absolutely, it's sort of a valid criticism. It's not necessarily excusing Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo or anybody that does that sort of practice, but the explanation there is that they do want to sell you the hardware right off the bat. They want to get it in your home, and then their priority afterwards is to say, okay, now let's deliver you some features, now let's work on the firmware, now let's actually get the ball rolling here. So in a sense, it is good, but it really is also bad because, again, that's where the criticism comes in, is a lot of companies, developers, publishers kind of take a little breather and say, okay, well, let's get the game out there, let's get people to actually buy it first, and then if there's issues, we'll fix them. That's probably the really shittiest thing about it. But that is why. This is kind of a problem that early adopters usually deal with. You know, when you buy a first-gen device, first-gen Apple product, or you know anything like that, right? If you're an early adopter of tech, you are taking a big, not sort of gamble, but you're paying a premium just to be the first guy to have it, and you're paying a premium not only in price but features, reliability, you know, design, for example, when products get, you know, better over time in terms of revisions and things like that. You know, there's going to be a PS4 Slim at some point. I mean, there's great benefits to just waiting and buying once you actually get what you want. If anything, that's probably the only good thing about being an early adopter in like our modern age of hardware, which is you can buy a piece of hardware and you're still going to get continuous new features, likely the same features that somebody who buys a PS4 in the next 3 years is going to get. You know, it's unlikely that a PS4 in 4 years is going to have exclusive features that a PS4 today wouldn't have. This is assuming software side, not hardware wise, but you see what I'm getting at. Anyway, Jonathan, I hope that answers your topic. That was me on your topic. I was all over that thing. I was slipping and sliding like crazy, and let me tell you, it was a really good one. I should probably stop with these weird innuendos at the end, but I think you get what I'm saying, right? Are you picking up what I'm laying down? Because I'm putting it all over the place, and you better get down there and pick it back up.